not here for right? I'm here to fix things when they go wrong. That's why I get paid.
Who are you?
My name is Frost. I've been working with GRiZ for 10 years now. I've spent the last 15 years working in this industry. You walk through the electric forest and the phone rings, you pick it up and you're talking to your favorite DJ. In the moment, you're like, oh, that's fucking cool. Nobody really understands what that village of people goes through so that you can have a really smooth experience for the 12 hours that you're there versus the 12 days they're there. It breaks my heart to see these people be discounted so easily. The shit is not easy. I haven't clocked out in 10 years. There was a time where I fucked up big time. My job every day was to make sure that both saxophones made it into the venue. We'd go across the border, get to the venue, and Ben's like, all right, cool, sound check time. So I was like, fatality.
Who are you?
My name is Frost, and I'm in love with the music industry. That's the best answer I can give you.
Yeah, well, and I guess just to give background for the audience, so Frost, you and I got to meet backstage at GRiZ's, one of her shows, and I got to just inquire a little bit about you and what you did, and I think you've had so much experience as, a tour manager, as a stage manager, doing all this stuff behind the scenes in the industry, and obviously you've done so much kind of working from sort of the ground level floor of things to like where you're at now. And so I was like, I've wanted to get to know you and get to share your stories with other people. So I'm curious for you, like with where you're at in your journey, like how do you like define yourself within, at least within the industry, and like your work? Like, how would you describe that to people?
The first thing that comes to mind is I feel really lucky and gracious that I've found something that allows me to live, but something that I love, something that fills my cup more so than a paycheck does. So I don't envy the people who wake up every day and they're like, fuck, I have to go to work. Because the only time I feel like that is when I have to go to the airport. It's the only part that feels like work. But you're right, what I do, I've spent the last 15 years working in this industry. Currently, I do more stage management and production management. I do a little bit of tour management as well. But yeah, it's my favorite puzzle. So that's kind of what I describe it is my favorite puzzle.
Yeah. Why do you describe it as a puzzle?
There's a lot of pieces that have to come together for things to work harmoniously. So that's the goal, is whether it be from the stage management side where, the puzzle is usually time and space, versus like the tour management side, the puzzle is, hypotheticals. It's like logistics and, costs and budgets and morale, things like that. They're all different kinds, but it all has to come together to make the picture that everybody buys the ticket to see.
Yeah. And for you, like, what was it that drew you to this career? Like, how did you get started in this? Like, I think that, we see the people at a stage doing all that stuff, and we're like, there's a lot of people out there going like, how do I become that? So how did you get started?
Well, I asked that question. I was that kid in the crowd who was changed by live music performance, and I was that kid that sometimes felt alone in a crowded room, and then when I was at a concert or a music event, I was suddenly best friends with strangers. I found myself in a place with people I'd never meet before, people I'd never meet again, but in the moment we were all sharing the same thing and we were all drawn to the same thing, and in that moment we're connected. And that sense of community, I think, is what really grabbed me.
Cheers. Was it for you? Was it in like the electronic scene in particular, or was it like live music as a whole, or what was it?
Live music as a whole, just like performance, just being taken away from your current mental state and just like you're thrown into a different world. Just that, I guess, escapism was kind of the thing that I found the most attractive. But I also saw how happy it made everybody and how happy it made me feel. Like I said, feeling connected, especially as someone who might be an outsider or like a wallflower or something, that's so important. And I wanted to be able to replicate that. And I guess my path was not through an instrument or art creation itself, but supporting the people that do that.
Yeah. What what kind of drew you to, I guess, that support role? Like, did you ever have an interest in being an artist or a DJ or that kind of thing, or was it you just?
Totally. I mean, I've been playing guitar for 20 years or so. Musically, I've always been drawn to music. Music. This is such a cliche, but I feel like it hits me different. I feel like I hear things in a different way, and I'll listen to a song the way that somebody gets engulfed in a book. Things like that. So I've always been drawn to it, and it's always, made me feel something inside. People talk about flow state or getting lost in something, and music's always done that for me, whether it's just playing guitar or learning CDJs was fun, just kind of learning to put songs together that shouldn't go together. Another puzzle thing, just really enjoying it. So I think, yeah, I've always been drawn to music. And as far as supporting the people that can do it professionally, I'm just good at it. I like to take care of people. I like to make sure things are covered. I like to put the puzzle together.
Yeah. And like, was that something that you've always, I guess, had ever since you were like younger? Just that like desire to take care of people and to like want to, I guess, give or contribute in that way?
I would say so. Yeah. Always just kind of wanted to be helpful. And I definitely was the kid in school that was like, I know the answer. I was also the kid in school that didn't use homework, but like get good grades on the test. So the teachers kind of be like, yeah, but you get it though.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
be helpful.
yeah, and I'm curious because that's something I relate a lot to with being in the rave scene or the live music scene in particular, where it's like, you talked about kind of it kind of brought you out of your shell and going from being like a wallflower to like now you're just you're connecting, you're dancing with strangers, you're having a great time, you're doing all this, and I think for me personally that was like such a huge shift for me. I mean, that I just told you a little bit beforehand that I went to like 54 concerts in a single year, and that was a lot of why. Was I went and I fell in love with the music, but like even more so, I fell in love with the community, right? And the way the people were showing up, I felt safer there in a way to be myself more so than anywhere else I'd ever been. And was that like the similar kind of thing that you felt, where it was just like you had a place where you could be you?
Definitely. I think the social guidelines kind of recreate themselves in a situation like that. Everyone's nice to each other, unless you're at a rock show and it's like, let's kind of be, let's be angry. Like, we're all on the same page. Everybody's in agreement, kind of. It's this mentality of community. This it's like we're all here to do something, whether that's like plur and hug or like fuck it up or or
Yeah.
it was definitely a space I could go and express myself and also be exposed to different kinds of people from all different kinds of walks of earth and different kinds of music, different art, different fashion, all of it.
Yeah. Do you remember where you were when the light switch went off, where you went from I'm like a participant to like I want to like make this a career, or I want to jump into this in some way for real?
I think the first inkling was like, so let's see where to start. Okay, so I was living in Iowa working at a ski area. Yeah, they have those there. I loved it. I taught myself how to snowboard and I fell in love with the industry. I built a chairlift. I learned how to drive snowcats, made snow. I was on ski patrol. I was all in. I loved it. And I decided the next step was to move to Colorado and try to do it at like a big mountain. So I moved to Fort Collins, and I was going to get a job like at Winter Park or Eldora, something that was closer, Loveland maybe. But I wasn't the only person with that idea. So it's pretty saturated. Everybody wants to work in the Rockies if they love snow sports. It's like the best place in the world for it. Yeah. So it didn't work out. I had this shitty sales job, and I think I was selling windows.
Like doors?
Man, this sucks. It's really hot. And there was a concert coming up that I wanted to go to at the Aggie Theater, and I was like broke. But, what am I gonna do? I can't even afford to enjoy some of the best things about living in this place. You know, I can't get a job at the place I want. I can't afford to go skiing because that's really expensive. And I can't afford to go to concerts. And I was flipping through Craigslist and I saw an ad for the Aggie Theater, and they were looking for an unpaid intern. Yeah, I was a good guy. Sick, free concert tickets. So I left the field because I was out working. Left the field. I went straight to the Aggie Theater, and I said, I want to interview for this. They're like, oh, what are you studying in school? I was like, I'm not in college. And they're like, what? You know, this isn't a paid position. I was like, I don't care. I just, I want to know what's going on. So I did it for a couple weeks and started to realize I was pretty sharp, and I kind of had a knack for things, and they enjoyed my company there, and they liked that they didn't have to tell me things twice. They would say, here's a list of shit and just go do it. I would do everything from printing tickets to posting Facebook ads to learning how to advance shows, selling merch. They used to call me for hospitality once they started paying me in a job. So I would do hospo. They called me for hospitality. And that's kind of when I started to interact with the tour crew more. And it looked so cool. they all just looked so cool and miserable, but like
Right, they all have that grungy, like, I'm a little bit pissed off and like tired, but like also cool.
About, but long story short, I did like every job in the music venue except operating console. I was there for about 5 years, and then I got a job working with an artist manager, just kind of as their assistant.
Was that through the Aggie, or how did you meet them?
Because I was working at the Aggie, the manager at the time was friends with the GM, looking for some help. The GM, Kyle, was like, hey, this guy Frost is not an idiot, and he's smart. And we were introduced, and at the time she was working with Michael Menard, which is hilarious because I was the huge Pretty Lights fan.
Yeah.
Huge Pretty Lights fan, still am. So the opportunity was just like, wow, this is unignorable. Something I care so much about. This just presented itself to me. And it was just like a huge door. And I was like, I gotta go through it. And the rest is kind of history there. But to answer the question, the first time I felt drawn in, I was, it was like a very serendipitous situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, on one hand, there's like a lot of serendipity, but what I also hear is like you took those leaps of faith, right, to like go do that. Like a lot of people might see a unpaid internship while you're not making the most money and be like, oh, I can't do that, or like I need to get paid or whatever, and kind of reject that, right? But you were like, I'm gonna go and be there, and I think that's a rare thing for people to do.
Well, I think this is 2014. No, this is 2011. So I had resources living in Colorado, coming from the Midwest. I had resources to offset my income just by being creative and maybe not following the rules. But that took off some pressure for sure. We just tight. So people.
Yeah. Definitely. So I'm curious, like when you started like working with that manager, like what was your role at that point?
Babysitter. Literally taking care of, like, watching her kid, walking her dog, going grocery shop. Just like I was your personal assistant, basically.
Oh wow!
And when I was done with all that stuff, I got to like help file contracts, and that's when I started to like read deal memos and like kind of start to understand the verbiage between a talent buyer and an artist. And that was a new puzzle for me. I was like, okay, cool. So like, what is this like 60 versus the, guarantee, talking about, language I hadn't seen before. So that was interesting to me.
Any, like, before we move on from that, like any highlights or high level things that you want to share with like how that process works that if you can share?
It's all politics, man. Honestly, it's typically the way a deal works, I guess, between a talent buyer and an artist. So a talent buyer wants to book this artist, so they call the agent. They say, "Yeah, how much does this artist cost?" And the agent's like, "Well, meh, 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 meh." They give a vague number because they don't, they don't want to lowball themselves.
Sure.
And the talent buyer sends an offer. The offer is typically like a flat sum, like a guarantee, we call it. A flat guarantee means this is it. No matter how many tickets you sell, if you sell one or 5,000, this is what you're getting. Somebody who feels work in a way where it's like, hey, I'll give you this much versus this much. This much being, if you sell this many tickets at this much, the percentage of that will be higher than the flat guarantee we offer you, and you can take whatever. Things that come into play here, you're talking expenses for the house. What are the costs for the house to open? The staff, the insurance. What if you need lights? What if you need sound? What if you need haze tubes? What if we need lasers? What if we need extra security? What if we have to have our merch seller? Hospitality is an expense. Like, all of these things add up. So they come out of the gross. Basically, the way it works is the talent buyer agrees to pay X, and they'll pay Y if the expenses are not greater than the difference between gross and X.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I'm curious because like that sounds like a really interesting puzzle to kind of find yourself in, and it doesn't sound like you ended up going kind of the managerial route or that route at all. And I'd imagine that door was at least somewhat open for you. So how did you end up going from there into like tour managing and that kind of thing?
Well, the person I was working for, Michael's manager at the time, asked me if I wanted to go on tour. She's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, I think I want to go on tour." She's like, "You want to be a tour manager?" And I said, "I don't know what that is." So she said, "I want to introduce you to Ben Schroeder." And I was like, "I don't know who that is," but sure. At the time, Ben was tour managing GRiZ. So this is, again, 2012, probably 2013. And let's see. He ended up taking the position handling a tour Michael did with Paul Basic, Elliot Lip, and Supervision. And they were all four playing on stage at the same time. It was called the PLM party.
Wow.
And Ben had grown up with Michael and these guys, so like they were good buddies. He took the gig, and he's like, "Frost, you want to go on tour?" She was like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do?" He's like, "Well, I need you to sell merch. I need you to load it. I need you to load out. I need you to drive the bandwagon," which I had no idea what the that was. He's like, "We're gonna do 4 shows a week. I'll pay you $50 a show, not a day. I'll pay you $50 a show to do all that." And I was like, "Fuck that, done." I had no idea how undercut I had done, or how I had undercut myself, but I didn't care at all. At the time, my expenses were pretty low. Again, I had the little side thing going on, so the pressure wasn't about expenses. The pressure was like, how the fuck do I break into this? Because it's not something you can just go to school for. You got to know somebody. You have to have an opportunity, and you have to not fuck it up. So I was all in, and we did like 50 shows, and I was gone for 8 weeks or something like that. And I learned, it was like boot camp, honestly. So basically, I feel like I got paid a small amount to go to college to learn how to do this job in a real world scenario, just hands on, just sink or swim. And the whole time it was a blast. Like, probably the most fun. That was the most fun I think I can remember in recent years. But yeah, it was just so new, and I was like seeing the whole country and feel the feeling of camaraderie. When you go on tour, it's kind of like, not to minimalize or take anything away from armed forces, but it's like going to war, or like being a pirate on a ship. Like,
right.
you're stuck in this fucking tube. Everybody smells awful, and everyone's very happy. Everyone's having a great time. You're defeating the country city by city. That's how it feels. You're like, all right, we killed Atlanta. Now we're going to Charlotte. We're going to fuck them up too. It's just like, it's this like sports team. It's this camaraderie. Like, you become a team. So again, with this sense of community, this sense of belonging, this sense of us against them, like this, it was tangible. And again, I was that hooked me right away. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
part of something cool. Let's go.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I mean, I think I've never been on tour, but even just being around, the team was in Gara's show. It was so like, cool to watch, and you can kind of see that just from the outside. Like, imagine if you're touring, you're going on all these little adventures together, right? And each one is also unique in their own ways, and you're locked in that little room together. You're sharing a hotel space together, or you're sharing a tour bus together, right? You're just around each other all of the time in a way that like a lot of humans are really not today. It's like we all can kind of live in our own little bubbles, right? And you're like basically just going on this little pirate adventure. I think it's a great like analogy for it. I'm curious for you when you were doing that first tour with Ben, like do you have any like particular stories that stick out to you from that moment in time when you're on that first tour? Like even just like what was that like to kind of just the first time you're like, fuck, I gotta go do this, and then you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to like figure all that stuff out.
I mean, it was nerve-wracking at times for sure. I was asked to do a lot. Ben, Ben, who is my business partner now, we've been partners since then. I love Ben. He was trying to break me this whole tour, which I didn't understand at the time, but now I do because like everybody says they want to do this, but you gotta prove it, like because it's not easy. The work is not easy. The stress is not easy. The being away from home is not easy. You can't have a real schedule. You can't make plans, missing family events, because the show's happening, and you're either going to be there or someone else is going to be there. That's kind of how I felt. I think there was one moment, when you're touring 4 or 5 shows a week, and there's like 6-hour drives between, and the job is like, the idea is like you sleep between shows, right? When I'm driving, that's not happening. So, so there was a lot of towards the end of man, I don't feel safe. Like this is kind of a burnout situation,
Yeah.
And I remember Ben one time, he's like, pull over. So I was texting him, I was like, yo, I'm not gonna make it. He's like, pull over. And he hops up into the cab with me because the bandwagon's not connected. You can't just like walk to the driver's seat. You have to like get out of the camper and then get in the truck. So he hops up there. It's like 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. something. I don't know. And he's just up there smoking cigarettes. He's like, this day, I knew this day was going to come. I thought it was going to happen sooner. He's like, what? He's like, the day that you quit. And I was like, what? He's like, well, you're telling me you can't do it, so that's it, right? And he fucking fleeced me. He just totally finessed me, like, into this, like, fuck you, I don't quit. Like, I was trying to explain to you, this is difficult. And he's like, well, if it was easy, everybody would do this, right? Isn't it fun? Yeah. So he's like, you got a choice to make. He's like, I don't care. Like, you're not going to upset me or disappoint me. He's like, honestly, I'm surprised if you made it this far because this is my first tour and I'd never done this before. Like, if this is the day you quit, that's fine. Like, but if it's not, it's better. He's like, if you want to do this, then you show me. Otherwise, when we get to wherever the we were going, he's like, I'll get you a plane ticket, you go home. And just that indifference kind of hooked me. I was like, this guy. At the time, I was like, this guy's not gonna he's not gonna get me. And I remember being drunk with him, at the end of the tour, telling him, I'm gonna be better at this than you. He got all pissed, and I was like, oh, this is like the highest compliment. You're teaching me how to do something, and I'm going to excel beyond your ability because of your guidance. And then we like got into a fight, like roughhousing fight. And what's about? And then that was the end. After that, I was like, you call, I'm going. You were going to war, I'm with you. That's the end of that story.
So, what else did you learn from Ben about being a tour manager or being a stage manager, being in that role?
So again, Ben, at that time, the tour was with all of his buddies. So I saw a pretty loose tour as far as like rules go. It was a good time. It was a good. So I learned about balance. I learned about camaraderie and that it's not just the tour manager's job to book hotel rooms, but to maintain like homeostasis, whether that's like the bus needs cleaned and it's gross and we need homeostasis so he would clean the bus. Or like people are kind of cranky and we need to do something. So we would go to like go-kart racing or you would stop and like take a hike in the woods or something, like finding finding out what made everybody feel better about being away from home. Because the negative attitude is so contagious. When you're sleeping like 3 feet away from another person or below somebody, that negative energy, it spreads whether you're trying to like keep it to yourself or not. Like people pick up on it, and that kills a tour. Everybody's pissed and remembers that they're like, I could be at home right now with the people I love, or the dog I love, or I could be at my mother's birthday or Thanksgiving or whatever. When people start to remember that, the shows start to suck, the experience start to suck. It's just bad. So it's an important part of being a tour manager is keeping everybody stoked, keeping the stoke high.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the first thing my mind goes to with like a tour manager is just like making sure all the pieces are in the right place, like all the technical stuff. But like what I hear from you, it makes sense, is like you're kind of like the tour dad, right? You're the one who's like, I gotta make sure everybody's a little bit happy, nobody's being a dick. I gotta make sure that like everybody's mood's good. Like you're constantly like temperature checking everybody else and being like, hey, and balancing that dynamic because it's a lot of different people, different feelings and stuff. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because Ben is tour dad, like at dad on Instagram. Like he is tour dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tour manager's job is very similar to that. Get up, brush your teeth, be here at this time. Go eat. What do you want for dinner? What can I do for you? Like, do you have homework? It's very much like that, and it's not just with the artists; it's with the crew too. It takes a certain type of personality to be able to manage all these different kinds of people. Some people like the stick. I call the stick is like, yo, you're like, do better. Or some people need the blanket where you're just like, come here, everything's fun. It's gonna be good. It takes a lot of different approaches to keep everybody happy.
When somebody comes to you at this stage in your career and they're like, hey, like I really want to do this, like I want to get started, like what is like your advice to them, or what do you look for in somebody that you're willing to actually like mentor and invest into and grow into?
Resilience is definitely a number one quality because the show is not easy. There are jobs that pay better. There are jobs that will allow you to clock out. I haven't clocked out in 10 years. 6 a.m. like my flight's canceled.
Yeah.
I'm getting a new flight. I'm not going to say, I'll fix this at 10 or like, it's a constant job and it's a big sacrifice. But I would say the things I look for in a person, it's really resilience and a genuine interest, depending on what they're asking for. Like, if they want to be a tour manager, typically what I'll tell everyone is the first thing you should do is go work at a local music venue. Find a venue that's an independently owned one if possible. Get in there at the ground floor. Go learn what cables are. Go learn why they are called what they are, how they're wrapped, where they're stored. Learn how a load-in works. What comes in first? Why does that come in first? What is a console? What does the console do? What is an operator? Go learn all of these things, and it'll give you an opportunity to be exposed to this world in that way. So you can make another like you can have a wider scope to make a decision. And maybe stage stuff isn't for you. Maybe the office stuff is for you. Maybe you're more drawn to creating the deals or the politics, or maybe you're more drawn to being a tour dad or a tour mom. Personally, after that was so many years of doing both, I found that I gravitate more towards stage. I'm very good with people as far as being a tour manager, but a production manager is the same thing, just for the crew instead of the tour crew. It's like for the vendor and for the house staff and dealing with all labor. And it's a whole different kind of puzzle, but it's a lot of the same attributes. You have to manage people. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. And maybe you can kind of elucidate like a little bit more like on the differences between like a tour manager versus like a stage or production manager. But like what draws you more to the production side of things?
There's no politics on the stage. Like, when you're talking about building and production, it's very black and white. It fits, it does not fit, it will hang, it will not hang. This tape is black, this tape is white. There's no subjectiveness when it comes to it. So 5 minutes is 5 minutes, period. If we have to move a stage, that's what has to happen, and those are the parameters. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think I like that. I don't have to deal as much with variables that are uncontrollable. So I think I enjoy that more. With the tour management side of things, there are a lot of interfacing with other entities in this industry that are not so tangible, and things get messy, and it starts to become icky to me.
Yeah. Like, are you open to talking about like what are some of those other kinds of entities that you end up dealing with that are like trickier? Like, is it just dealing with like the agents and the other people in the space, if you will, or is it like more like the intangible quality of the group, or like what is that?
There are things that, because as a tour manager, you're typically just like, your responsibility is the artist, to take the artist's asks and make them happen. And you're working directly with like the artist management team, which is a separate side of this whole thing. And often with the artist agent team as well, which is another side of this whole stuff. And some camps may even have more. They may have like a PR department or marketing and shit like that. And they're in that world, which I call like the desk, like behind the desk, or the suits, I'll call that. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of if this, then that, not to say that. That's tricky. I don't know how to answer that.
Is it like, let me see if I can help. Like, is it more just that there's like a lot of that like soft skill, like negotiating kind of stuff? Like, they want this thing to happen, but like that other person doesn't want to give you that thing, so you have to find a way to like get the best thing that you can. Hopefully, it makes both sides, like that kind of negotiation stuff.
Things like that. Things like, when I work as a stage manager or a production manager, I work for one artist camp at that time. I'm with like 6 different clients, but when I'm on the job, I'm on stage, I'm worried about that artist.
Right.
And in some scenarios, that may not be the case, with managers or agents. They might have multiple clients on the same event or something like that. So when you talk about doing things in the client's best interest, that can get murky when there's more than one client, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, especially, I can imagine both. On one hand, it can get tricky if they're touring together, but it can also get tricky just if they're not touring together, because you're having to navigate all those different pieces. Yeah. Do you do just like the concert tours, or do you do festival related stuff as well?
Both. I've done work on the artist side of things as a touring musician, production person at just what we call a hard ticket show, which is like Maddie O'Neill's playing at the Mission Ballroom. Like, that's her stuff. I've also done a lot of festivals with the artists, Electric Forests. I've done them all. But I've also worked on the festival side of things with production. And I've done that a few times just to kind of keep myself sharp and remember what it takes to put on an event like that. And it helps me when I'm coming in from the artist side, how to approach things, because I've been in their position where I've got 60 artists to dance with, and they all think that they're the most important one. And I've been that person where I'm advancing with a festival. Like, I'm the guy that you should be paying attention to. You know? So it definitely helps me keep balance, and it reinstates the amount of respect I have for the people who work on the festival side of things. Nobody really understands what that team, that village of people goes through, so that, you know, you can come in and have a really smooth experience for the 12 hours that you're there versus the 12 days they're there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something I picked on or appreciate from listening to you so much is like, it sounds like with almost everything, and I think you've mentioned the term like puzzle several times in this, it's like you really, whether it was like the snowboarding stuff really early on or like throughout your journey in the live music space, it's like you're going into every facet of the job that you can kind of get your hands on, right? Whether it's like working for the festival or working for the artist or working, plugging stuff in, or whether it's like, you know, driving the truck. It's like you want to get your hands, it seems like, into every single pot that you can so that you have the best overall insight, which I'm sure makes you really great at what you do because you understand all the trials and tribulations of each aspect of the job.
I think in life in general, the most valuable thing anybody can gain is perspective. You know, whether that comes to your job or just society, you know, like if you've only ever been in one city your entire life, it's at such a disadvantage because that's the end of your scope. It's the same with work. So I've worked security. So if I'm having an issue at a show, I know that what it would be like if I was working security and somebody came up to me and was like, "You're fucked up." You know, they're not going to get any information from me. I'm not going to be willing to help them. But I've been them, so like if I have a situation, I know how to go and approach that person because I've done it. Same with the house GM, same with the festival stage manager, same with the artist hospitality team, with the runner. You know, like I've done it all. So like I know what it's like to be approached. You know, a lot of times people in those positions get overlooked, and they're just like, "Oh, you're fine. I don't even have to remember your name." Yeah. You know. But they forget, like, the show goes on because that person showed up to work. Or your artist gets to where they need to on time because that person knows how to manage time appropriately. Or you're going to get the exact items that you asked for in your hospitality writer because this person decided that it's worth it to them to make you feel appreciated. So it should go both ways. You should show appreciation to these people. You should acknowledge the amount of time and energy that they have spent building this event and making it such a smooth thing for you. Because if you've never done an event that doesn't have their shit together, like, it's like hell. You know, it's like being in a fire that you don't have an extinguisher for. But you still have to be there.
Yeah. No, that's a really great point. I mean, I think just even now that you're putting me in that, like, that mental space, like I thinking about all of the different things that are happening at a festival. I mean, think of something like EDC or Forest or wherever, right? You have all of these different artists coming in, and that's one component. You have all of the various vendors. You have all of the fact that it goes anywhere near as smoothly as it does is like nothing short of a miracle. Like yeah, it's nuts. And like, I remember being at Forest, and you probably have more insight into this than I do, but that, like, hearing that they basically have engineers who are like, even just when they time the various artists so that, like, they know that a crowd of one artist is going to move from one place to another place, and so they're timing that so that a certain part of the venue doesn't get too jam packed at various, like, they're thinking about all of these variables that, you know, all of us going to a show are just kind of like enjoying it, but like there's all this stuff going in to make sure that everything's safe and fun and fluid. And yeah,
and when someone's good at their job, then you don't think about it because it happens naturally.
Yeah,
the flow of the crowd takes care of itself, or you know, the load-in plan works smooth because someone spent a week thinking about Gramps. You know, like that.
Yeah. I'm curious for you, like, having worked in so many of these different aspects, is there like a particular, like, I want to say like festival magic or secret, or like a thing that you're like, oh, people have no idea this is going on, but it's like making such a big difference in like the way that, the people are experiencing the show or the festival, or that kind of like secret sauce piece.
Ooh. I have a couple different ways to answer, I guess. So, like, people who take the time to make an event very immersive, it feels effortless on the concert goer side. Like when you walk through the forest, an electric forest, and a phone rings, you pick it up and you're talking to like your favorite DJ. It's like in the moment, you're like, oh, that's cool. But like the amount of time that it took for someone to schedule artists to be in this place, to be a switchboard operator, to hang a phone line on a tree, to run the lights for it, to make sure it works, and to know when to do it when there's people passing through, like, let alone just coming up with the idea itself. It's so overlooked. People are like, oh, there's a phone on the tree. Cool. No. Like, it's so intentional. And I think those are the most important parts about a festival for the concert goer is immersion. That's just one example of, something that I experienced. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think people think about that. They're like, oh, this is cool. The festival does this. But they don't understand that the festival is like a group of hundreds of people who've been thinking about this for 6 months or 8 months or a year.
Yeah. Or years, right? Because you're also building off of the previous ones and like all of the other learnings and lessons. And I remember when I went,
and stuff like that's,
yeah,
think about the time it takes to do it. Think about what it would take to write it. And then,
right. Yeah, no, it's nuts. I remember being at my one and only forest so far and like doing the scavenger hunt and getting down to the bottom of it and like I got a special pin for like solving it and whatever, right? And that, yeah. And I was like hanging out at the hangar, which for those who don't know, it's like one of the stages that's like by that speakeasy part after like the last night, and I was just kind of like going the opposite direction of the rest of the crowds, and I ended up like seeing this guy who was like cleaning out one of the things, and I just like started a conversation with him. I found out his wife was like she's like a puzzle designer or an escape room designer, and they're the people who put together the scavenger hunt, right? And it was like, I was just like, wow, like to think that you have somebody whose whole job is like, how do I create this puzzle that people are solving to go down this rabbit hole that I got to go on and like have this wild experience. And it's so cool to think about that.
In my opinion, festival magic are those things. This like, how do they think of this? Like, one of my favorite things I saw at Electric Forest was this like science station, and it was just a bunch of colors and textures and smells that you could go and experience. It was like, kind of, the concept of like a Halloween party where you like put your hand in the box.
Yeah.
That's like worms or whatever, and it's like, same concept, but just like for tripping kids. And I was like, this is brilliant. And it's like, it's so simple, but someone was, they were probably in a room smoking weed. They're like, what if we did this? And they're like, be great.
Brilliant.
And it goes off. Like I was running around the forest with Grant, and he was like, this is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
This dumb, silly idea that they brought to life, that the people who got to interact with it brought them so much joy. Those are festival magic moments for me, because like, why is that here? It doesn't need to be cool. There's not a budget for that.
Yeah.
On the lineup.
Yeah.
But you dig a little bit, and you find all the best parts. I think Electric Forest is my favorite festival, hands down.
Yeah. Forest is definitely one of my top ones. For me, it's usually between Shambhala and Forest for me. Like Shambhala, Shambhala for me is like the pure vibes festival, and then like Forest is similar, but has like a more production and more of those side quests to kind of get lost in and stuff. And yeah, they're incredible. Have you been to Burning Man?
Not been to Burning Man. I've been told by all of my friends that I belong there, and I believe that. I still have that person inside for sure. But it's like, when Burning Man happens is always the busiest time of the year for me. It's always, Burning Weekend is like the end of festival season, beginning of fall tour vibes. So I'm like, And also notoriously the last 10 years before Grizz took a break, Red Rocks is always in the same time.
It didn't.
I miss. I know.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I'm not writing it off, but
Well, I mean, if you get to go, like, I think part of what I loved about it was like, it's like pure side quest material, right? But then it's all essentially created by everybody else who's there, right? Like, there are a few things that are built by the Burning Man Institute or whatever it's called, but like BlackRock, but like all of it is just these little things that people came up to. And I remember one of my favorite moments is I was like, had like a rough night and I was just like riding my bike around the deep playa by myself and just kind of being in this pensive space. And then I like stumbled onto this person who was giving away popcorn and hot chocolate like in the middle of the desert, like just a tiny little booth, and they just were giving away hot chocolate and popcorn at 4 a.m. And those are the kinds of things that you see, and it's just so cool.
I mean, it's right there. I've got so many friends that are so good at Burning Man, and I've always kind of told them, I was like, if I ever got to do it, it would be like a 2 or 3 day in and out thing, probably, just because of like schedule. And honestly, 7 days or whatever, 10 days.
It's kind of like 14 days. Like depending on how you do it, I did it for like a little bit over 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm not desert folk.
That's fair.
So like I would squeeze all the juice and I would get out.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, I think. But I didn't experience it. Yeah, shout out to all my Burning Man homies.
Well, if they also do have like the local burns if you ever get a chance to go. I'm sure they have one in Colorado.
I've experienced, actually, I think I had a client play at one of those in Reno.
Okay.
Yeah, Maddie played one of those parties in Reno.
Nice.
As if she went to Burning Man the next year. And then, the year after. And she's a burner.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious for you, talking about these different puzzles, and you've gone through so many different things. I know you're doing you really like the production stage management stuff, but is there like a puzzle that you see yourself really wanting to solve in the next 5 years or 10 years? Like, where do you, envision yourself being? Do you see yourself wanting to run a full festival at some point? Or like, where do you kind of imagine yourself going?
I could really find some enjoyment out of the festival direction, the festival director roles. It would be a lot of, I've got to see a few festivals being built from the ground up, literally from an idea to stages. I would enjoy an opportunity to do something like that again. I did this event during COVID called Revive. I felt event during COVID, but the way that we set it up was we had these hotels, right? These hotels were shaped like this. The ocean was like here. So we put a stage in the middle. You could see the stage from your hotel room balcony, right?
Wow.
So the way we approached this event, it was like you and your 4 friends, up to 4 friends, can share a room. You're on lockdown because it was like 2020 and it was October 2020.
Wow.
All of your concessions and alcohol stuff could be purchased through like a room service thing. So you order it online and it shows up to your room. Same with merch. So there wasn't really a reason for people to leave their room. What we didn't want was commingling. So that was the idea. Is like you watch the show from your apartment balcony. I mean, you go nuts and do whatever you want in your room. Just don't like make a party. And that was cool, just to kind of approach an event like that had never existed before, and kind of be part of the creative tank for that. Idea is like, okay, how do we sell merch? Like, well, if you merch service, like, yeah, let's do that. And it just played into the whole theme too, like hotel lock-in. I'd love to do another event like that. Honestly, it was so cool. But I'd love to have an opportunity to be part of the inception of an event and to kind of come up with it and then like starting to bring in some of these immersive things that I was talking about.
Yeah.
I would get a lot of enjoyment out of that, the creative side of things.
Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, if I definitely have a bunch of people, and like I'm, especially going to the burn, like I have a lot of ideas. Like part of my, I think, long-term dream would be to create something that's like almost like a side quest festival, like where the whole thing is built around just like these magical moments and like paths that people can go down, and just like have that. Maybe there's still music, but almost all of it being like secret stage stuff or something like that, right? And because I think those parts of just getting to get lost in like your own real life video game for a period of time, right? It's so cool. Yeah.
It's like IRL RPGs, dude.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Yeah. Go find my frying pan. I need my frying pan. Like, right?
yeah. Honestly, I've been working with GRiZ for 10 years now.
Mm.
And my favorite thing about him is that he is very playful and whimsical in that sense of like, yeah, he's a dungeon master. Like he fucking loves Dungeons and Dragons. Like,
Oh, no way. Sick.
he writes his own campaigns. Like he is full on. And it's great,
awesome.
but he also brings some of that like into his music. He made a video game, a little RPG.
No
And
way.
all of the music in the video game was 8-bit, but it was GRiZ songs.
Oh, that's so sick.
And you got to go through this thing, and by completing the game, you unlock downloads for new singles.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He integrated it into his festival 7 Stars. There was like a whole side quest. What's funny is the EP that he put out is called Side Quest.
That's perfect.
Dungeons and Dragons themed, and this whole like you have to follow the trail to get the gold. Like he integrated that so well into 7 Stars. I was obviously not able to participate. I was there working, but a lot of my friends who enjoyed the festival explained to me that was one of their favorite parts. This whole like integrating this scavenger hunt, this in real life Dungeons and Dragons campaign vibe with Meow Wolf vibes. Like the general store is full of kooky shit that is.
Right.
It might look like toothpaste, but it's like this weird GRiZ 7 Stars farmer grad. Or whatever.
Yeah.
There's levels to this, and he's very into the idea of like going very deep into the level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. Like I had David Schuneman on a couple weeks ago. Yeah, like actualized visuals, and like we were talking about that and just like the different ways you could be using, visuals to do those kinds of things in the real world, right? And also how like, I mean, you probably don't experience this as much because your life is so on the go and it's like a roller coaster all the time. But like, I think that there's such a craving for humans right now to figure out like, well, why do I need to leave my home? Like a lot of people talk about just like, phones and stuff and all this stuff. But I think a lot of it for me is just that like our self-made aquariums are so entertaining, right? We basically have a movie theater in our home for all of us. Like there's no reason to leave our home unless it's to go to something like a live show or a festival because they're so entertaining. But if we could create more just like micro versions of that, right? Like more little places to just have an experience or get lost or go on a side quest or whatever that is that like gives me a reason to want to leave. Like I think that's something that would I don't know, make a lot of people happy. Like I feel like it's a huge need right now.
Absolutely. People are so content with experiencing things third hand. No?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I saw it on TV, or I don't have to go to Hawaii. I watched this movie about it.
Yeah, you can watch Coachella from your living room. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Coachella. Also, to touch on that, there was a performance during Coachella that kind of upset me. Like this, it encouraged, Anima. Anima's big deal was they used an augmented reality thing during their show that was only perceivable to people who watched it via the live stream. So what that tells me is they are trying to encourage people, no, don't come to the show. Stay home. It's cooler. If you stay home, we can do these cool things, that don't exist in real life.
Yeah.
The people that were at the show were totally oblivious of what was happening. But there's this like 100-foot character walking around on stage that you can only see from your couch. So what is the incentive to have people stay home to view that? Like, why would you do that live? Why would you? I didn't get it. It didn't hit for me.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing all these other cool things, like your stage is floating, and like you're doing all this shit cool that's happening on stage in real time. That is perceivable to the people who are there live. What's the point of adding this augmented reality thing? This like encouragement of like catch the show at home. You'll see something way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I totally agree with you in the whole, let's flip it the opposite direction. Like, you know, scan this code or whatever, but like to find the next code, you have to go somewhere,
Yeah,
or you have to like have an experience. Like, you know, like this. I feel like we're losing the opportunities to have firsthand experiences in life. We're losing
yeah.
incentive, so they're not as impactful. It's not a good path.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I see like little things that kind of pop up. Like I live in Seattle, so I'm super grateful because there's a lot of like really artistic things out here. Like I found out recently, like if you want to build like a new building, you have to actually like include some form of like art or artistic element. Basically, it's like part of our rules, which I think is pretty cool. But like there's this main street that has a lot of different shops, and there's this one little random like nook that's all like, you know, rainbow gradiented out and all this cosmic kind of stuff on it. And you just walk down this like little side of stairs, and it's this tiny, like literally the size of my living room, like mead bar. So it's like they just sell like house made mead, and it's all like psychedelic on the inside, and it's just this tiny little like hidden spot, right? And I could see something like that being like you said, if like you made that like the beginning of a side quest through the city, right? That you could find and like interconnect different shops or something like that that pulled people through into different ways. And like I think it could be such a fun way of interacting with the city or with the community or however that is. And I think so many people, like especially with the younger generations, like people don't really want to go out to the bar and just drink. They want something more that's going to like propel them out into their life and like give them a meaningful experience, like Meow Wolf or these kinds of things.
I agree. I wish we would end virtual tours. Like, I see a lot of videos when I was like preparing for a trip at the beginning of the year. I was kind of researching, and most of the videos that I would come across were like walkthroughs, like
Yes.
not walkthroughs like a strategy guide. Walkthrough like, here's me holding a camera, walking through the tourist attraction that you're going to fly on the other side of the planet to go see,
Yes.
and it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. Like, what is the point? You know, like why?
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me this at shows and stuff too. They're like, you don't take a lot of pictures. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to have a backup of this memory so that I can just easily forget it. Does that make sense? Like, if I don't have to remember it up here because I have a copy here,
Yes.
you know, I'm not going to take time and like go back and look through all that stuff. But like, a lot of times, things that I find very memorable, I will hold inside. I won't take a photo of it. I won't take a video of it because I want to make myself remember it instead of having it so easy to slip away because I have a backup.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think being like super present in those shows is like a huge component of it, and it, you know, pulls you into the present and pulls you into those moments. And you know, I was thinking about that even after a recent show where we got back, and I was, you know, talking with the people that I went to the show with, and then I like, you know, we're all kind of strangers, and like I just noticed like everybody kind of pulled out their phone and was looking at their phone for a second, and I was like, oh, if we didn't have our phone, we would have probably just started talking to each other a little bit more naturally, right? So
dangerous.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm curious, like kind of, I know we've kind of gone on a bit of a tangent here, and that's a lot of fun, but like I'm curious for you, like going back to the tour managing or all these different things, like do you have like a moment where things went like horribly wrong, and like what did you like do to like save the moment as best you could, I guess?
Should horribly wrong. Okay. So the right answer is this. So when things go wrong, no one else should really know about it. No one else as far as like performers. Okay. If everything is fucked, but you're like actively working on a solution, they don't need to know until after because they're not equipped to deal with that on top of what they're here to do. So crisis management, you know, being cool under pressure, dealing with chaos, those are all really important qualities, because if something's wrong and my artist comes up to me and I'm visibly shook, they're not having fun. They're not having a good time at all. If they know that I'm panicked, something is seriously wrong. I've had a lot of performers and artists and crew telling me the same thing, is like, when shit's hitting the fan, like, you're the last one to show, and like last one to show it. I'm there.
Right. Yeah.
In the sh- but it's not on me. Nobody can tell that things are going wrong, because like that's kind of what I'm here for. I'm not here for shit to go right. I'm here to fix things when they go wrong. That's why I get paid.
True.
Now that being said, there was a time where I fucked up big time. This was early in the career. I was on a GRiZ tour with Ben Schroeder, who was the tour manager at the time. And my job every day was to make sure that both saxophones made it into the venue. This was one of my jobs. So it's the last show tour, and we're in Seattle. And the Seattle was the second to last night. The last show is in Vancouver. So we're in a tour bus in Seattle. We're not going to take a tour bus over the border, because that's like a whole thing. So we all hop into SUVs, and it's like 6 a.m. or something. We all just get into SUVs and we go. And we go across the border. We get all the way to Vancouver. We get to the venue, and we build the stage and everything. And Ben's like, "All right, cool, sound check time." I'm like, all right, wait. So I was like, "Fuck." And he's like, "What do you mean, fuck?" I was like, they're on the bunk. They're on the junk bunk. I know exactly where they are in my head. There's an empty tour bus called the junk bunk. Both saxophones are there right now. And like, well, that's in Seattle. I was like, yeah, that's fucking up. And he's like, well, it's a GRiZ show. And especially back then, the GRiZ show was, he played two different saxophones. He had a tenor and an alto, and he would switch off between, and like 90% of the show was him on the saxophone.
Oh, wow.
So it was it was a big problem. And it's not like a drum set or like a CDJ or something where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a specific instrument,
Yeah.
So after I realized this, I just started drinking. 'Cause I'm like, I've never been to this city before. I don't know shit about saxophones.
Yeah.
Other than that they're supposed to be here. And I was like, it was a good run. I was like, this is it. That was fun. I was like 2 years in at that point, and I was like, that was cool. All right, that's over now. Letting this guy show. And Ben was able somehow to find another sax player who played the same sax that Grant did, that lived in Vancouver. And they let us use the saxophone, and we had a show. And I was like, at the end of the show, I was like, Ben, I'm sorry. And, I figured I let you down, and I get it. Don't feel bad about letting you go. I almost caused you to lose it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Shit happens. We're not here for shit to go right. We're here to fix shit that goes wrong. He's like, you're more in trouble because you're drunk right now than because you left this. So, yeah, things go wrong, and I have this thing I say to crew members when I can tell they're nervous, like, man, I fucked up bigger shows than this. It's not like, it's just a show. It's gonna be fine. Which, that's the right approach for some people. Like I said, some people are motivated differently. Some people get like, this is a big show, all the pressure's on you, and they'll perform very well. But again, trying to figure out which thing works for which type of person. Yeah, shit was wrong.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that sounds like I can't imagine a more terrifying moment if you're working on a GRiZ show than like leaving his sax somewhere. I'm sure that he knows about that now at this point.
Oh,
like,
yeah. He did, because he was like, oh, we have no saxophone? Cool. Oh, sick. He's pissed. We joke about it now. It's like, that was the first time I got fired. So.
Well, I'm sure that, like, in addition to like the crazy stuff that you've seen, like, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of crazy stuff with like fans. Like, what's like the wildest like fan situation interaction crazy moment that you've had?
In what way?
Like, I don't know, like where, I don't know, either maybe being disruptive or like trying to get to somebody or like doing something kind of crazy or outlandish or like maybe it can be a cool thing too. It doesn't have to be negative, but yeah.
So I love the fans. They are the reason, though, like here. It's the reason why we're all here, honestly. I was a
Yeah.
fan. And I'm really lucky with the GRiZ camp, also with Zingara camp and Level Up. Like their fans are so nice.
Mm.
They're very dedicated, and they're really just all for the most part really good people. We get a lot of compliments on our fans, especially at music festivals. Grant will do this thing after the show where he tells everybody to put their hand up, and he's like, "I swear that I will look down and I will pick up all the trash around me because I'm not a piece of shit. Show up." And they do. So when the crowd leaves our show, the stage people are looking at the ground and it's so clean, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" So as a fan base, I will say that is always impressive to have compliments on your fan base, especially when a lot of times in this industry we look at them just like working in a service industry or whatever. You look at the customer, you're like, "Yeah, you sucks." You know?
Sure.
It's part of it. I get it, but like there's never a thought when I'm doing a GRiZ show. It's never like, "Oh, these guys are a pain in the ass or they're going to cause problems." Now, there's a difference between, I would say, a fan and a fanatic.
Is.
And unfortunately, I've seen several instances that fanaticism has ruined something. Just like it takes the cool out of everything. It's whether it be a fanatic is really mean to their friends because of this like clout thing that they have. It's like, I am the biggest fan. So like, this like hierarchy.
Yeah.
And I've seen that destroy a lot of relationships, and
Huh.
it's just like it takes the cool out. It's like it's not cool to be a GRiZ fan if you think you're just better than everybody because you're the biggest GRiZ fan. That kind of
Yeah.
the whole purpose. And it like going back to community, it kind of attacks that sense of community.
Right.
So I've got a lot of beef with like what I would call fanatics. Beyond that, I've seen multiple clients that I've worked with have their personal space violated physically. Beyond that, like literal personal space invaded. I don't really like to get into details because it gets
Yeah.
gross.
No, it's okay.
It's like stalker stuff, like really unsafe, making people feel unsafe because you have infatuation with someone
Yeah.
is fucking awful, and it gives me the ick, and it's part of life. Especially working with female artists. I've been working with Maddie O'Neill for 10 years. She's my ride or die. I love her so much. And, working with Gabrielle, working with Chloe, working with Sonia. These artists are very aware of fanatics and how people can like just scrolling their DMs is disturbing.
Wow.
So I guess if there's anything I'll say, if you have a friend out there who is like a fanatic and like kind of in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, talk to them about it. Don't let it go so far where I have to have a picture of them up at every door of the venue and an explanation of why we're worried about them. Like, don't let your people get that far. Take them outside, throw a frisbee for them or something. Like, find a hobby that's outside of that. So you could be a fan without it just consuming your entire personality and like defining you as a human being. Way more out there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I was like watching somewhere that like, was it true that like somebody tried to like steal like the Floozy's like guitar or something like that before?
Dude, what? How do you know about this story?
I
I have a story.
Yeah, I heard about it from the other podcast you were on. I took a look at that one. So you mentioned it there.
This was a GRiZ tour. The Floozies were doing support, and Ben was the tour manager. And yeah, where the fuck were we? We were at the Jefferson Theater. So, I think that's in Charlottesville, maybe something like that. It's down there in Virginia somewhere. And the door to the green room, there's like a staircase. There's a door and a staircase from the front of the venue that goes directly into the green room. So, which is a strange setup. Usually, it's not so easy to access that area.
Sure.
So we were there after the Floozies had played, and Ben and I just happened to be in the green room, and this guy just busts in, grabs the guitar out of the stand, and just takes off running. And Ben and I were like, is this for real? Like, are we being punked right now? This is crazy. So we both took off running after this guy, and he ran across the street, and across the street was a parking garage. So he ran in there and just started going up. And it's like a smaller guy, and I'm trying to keep up. I'm not a smaller guy. Just pissed and chasing this guy, and Ben and I both get up to the top, and he's like holding the guitar over the edge of the parking garage, and it's just this drunk kid. He's just drunk and being an asshole. If Ben and I were like, don't do that, you're gonna go right after it if you and he hands the guitar over to Ben and takes off running. So I chased him down again, and man, that kid should have kept running. I wouldn't have caught him, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And I caught him. I caught him, and I carried him down, and we had the police come downstairs and cuff him, and then he tried to run from the cops. The cop put his boot between the kid's shoulder blades as he was handcuffed, right?
Oh. Yeah.
He just fell straight onto his face. That kid, it probably woke up sore for a number of reasons that we don't have to get into, but we got the guitar back, and the guitar works, and it's a crazy story, and wow. I don't know what's the answer, but sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's required.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a wild story. I mean, I'm sure you've seen so many crazy things just being on tours with these artists and with so many people going on. Like, maybe this is like another one that kind of just comes up for me. But any like particularly, if you can share it, which if you can't, totally fine. But like any particularly favorite like artist quirks or like things that like they require to have on stage, or like anything like that you're like that kind of stands out to your mind, where like they need something to be in a particular way or something like that.
Let's see. Okay, Gabrielle has to have pickle juice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on stage, because she's prone to like fainting. So when it gets too hot, she'll faint. So the salinity and the pickle juice like zaps her brain and wakes her up. Works. With the Floozies, we see this shit called Dunkaroos. We would, before every single show, they would dunk each other's head in ice water and slap each other. Like oh, go. No. Like, violently slap each other before they go on. They're brothers, so they've just been, they're just brothers. That's how they do things. But I don't know I'd be interested to know if they're still doing that, actually.
Yeah. So. Well, you're doing a show out here either this weekend or next weekend in Seattle, so.
Oh, cool.
I mean, if you ask that or something, but
if you ask them if they do Dunkaroos, Ross wants to know if they're still slapping the shit out of each other.
I'll see if I find a way to make that happen.
Marks, I'm talking like literally. Yeah. I can see your hand on his face.
Yeah. I think I just saw, who was it? Somebody at Coachella was talking about doing the same thing. Some DJ who's like an older DJ, and he was talking about like, to kind of embody this sort of like party or degenerate person that he takes on stage. That's part of what he does. Is right before he gets on, he like has his manager just like slap him super hard on the stage right before he goes on. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah.
Got to get hyped up. I mean, it's the fans will know if you're not up there having fun. If you're not amped up, if you're faking it, they pick up on it for sure.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's pretty impressive that like they can continuously make it like interesting enough for themselves and get hyped up consistently over and over and over again for that thing, right?
I get amped up just because I love doing the show, and I'm sure all the artists do as well.
Yeah.
But they sacrifice a lot more than I do. We all sacrifice a lot to do this, but they're sacrificing literal individuality in order to become this public figure well,
Mhm.
not necessarily, that's not what they were chasing. They wanted to have a platform for their art to have the ability to, form an impression on somebody.
Yeah.
But once people start listening and paying attention, you have to really start thinking about what you say and what you do and how you act. And
Yeah.
it's unfair, honestly, but it's a trade-off.
Yeah, something Gabrielle and I got to talk for a good chunk of time like, after she came on the show, and that was like one of the things we talked about like off camera was just like that sacrifice of like on one hand it's like to get your music out there to be able to be seen, you have to become famous whether you want to be famous or not, right? Like whether you like fame or want to be in the public sphere, and like that's a huge cost because you know like maybe in some places she could, but like Zingara at this point, she couldn't just go to a festival or a show and just get lost in the crowd anymore, like as herself, right? Like because everybody's going to be wanting to interact with her or notice her. Like she can't just do that anymore. And it's a huge trade to make.
It really is. Something I experienced a lot in the early years with Grant, just because he was so accessible. He made himself very accessible, which was good. Like I said, his fans are, for the most part, very reasonable, and they respect. They have a lot of respect, which is why we could do shows like the free shows for the people. We would do with like no barricade, and like 6,000 kids would show up, and the only keeping them from being on stage is respect. And it went well for a while, but you notice, like all of these little interactions, they're taking little pieces each time from the artist. Because it costs a lot, it's expensive to give energy. So after 100 people or whatever, after a show saying hi, taking photos, citing things, you're depleted. This whole high, all this energy you get from doing the thing is now just like, get me out of here. Then you run into that 101th person. Like, can I get a photo? And you're just like, no. Fucking in the tank. Their mentality is like, you're a dick.
Right.
Not, you're so generous for spending the time that you did and that I got here last. You're a piece of shit.
Right. Yeah.
It stabs every artist I know. They're all very sensitive, and they're, as much as they don't want to read the negative comments, they typically read the negative comments. Only by this, and it's a deep cut, and it's really unfair. It breaks my heart to see these people who get so much be discounted so easily.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like this is you're interacting with so many of these different artists in like a very vulnerable spot. Like I think that was one of my favorite things about getting to be backstage was just getting to see Gabrielle and Sonia be Gabrielle and Sonia right before a show, right? And like how they get nervous or how they handle the moments before and the little things that they're going through and how they're processing stuff, and just like seeing the very human elements of them, right? And like that's probably a really special thing I imagine for you is like you get to see these artists in like who they are behind that show, right? But you get to see their hard moments, their real life moments, all those things.
Well, I think you said something that is very interesting. You said they have human elements. But I feel like you would use that to describe something that's not human. They are humans. They have elements of influence. They're an artist. The artist, if they put on a mask or whatever, elements of that. They're a human first. They're just a person.
Right.
So it's easy for people, especially from the outside looking in, to forget that. They think they know because they see them on stage or they see them on TikTok or they see them in these posts or hear them in their music. And that's how people start to develop these like ideologies and this like unrealistic familiarity with a person, thinking that they know them as a human, but just know them as an artist.
Right.
And a lot of people that I've met have to have, they have to have a separation between those two. Some don't. Like what I find fascinating is a lot of people think they go to a GRiZ show, but they're going to a Grant show. He's the same. He's just, that's who he is. It's not an act. It's not like this marketing ploy of like, show love, spread love. No, he's just like, Dick, like, be a nice person. You know, he's the type that will slow down a conversation if things start to hit in um, a cringy way or something. He'll stop and think about like what you're saying and why you're saying it. Like he practices all of the things that he preaches or whatever. Uh, sorry, that was a tangent.
No, I think that's beautiful. Like I'm curious about that. Like what is it you think about Grant that like I don't know, drives him to do that? Because I think that is a rare quality that you do pick up on in going to his shows or hearing him or listening to his music. But there's that like level of commitment and depth to it.
I think he's so fed up with, well, at some point in his life, became so fed up with artificial interaction and like the front that people put on that he was like, I don't want to be that. I'm only going to be genuine. I'm only going to be who I am. Take it or leave it, you know? Which I think that's all kind of started to come to fruition and it all kind of culminated when he was starting to be more public about his personal life and, you know, his choices as a human being. You know, it's using that as like a spring, like a gimmick or a brand. It was, by the way, this is me.
Yeah. What impact has working with Grant, with GRiZ, like made on you on like a personal level?
Massive. I've learned so much from him and the people he surrounds himself with, the team that we work with. You know, one of my other mentors was a tour manager for GRiZ after Ben left. Stu was there for 8 years, 7 years, 8 years. And I learned so much from him and the team that he built. And every person in a position in this team shared this appreciation for genuine, just the artist being a genuine person. And like we all have similar views and values. And they created a family. And again, this sense of community. This like, we are GRiZ, you know. I think that the biggest lessons I've taken from that camp is just kind of, team building and taking care of your people, making sure that they're set up in a way to take care of you. And obviously,
beautiful. Well, this has been an amazing conversation for us. It's been super fun for me. You know, one question that I ask all my guests at the end of the show is just like, what's a question that you might have for the audience that might, you know, shift their perspective or have them think about something in a different way?
Okay, sure. What parts of this universe excite you? You know, what drew you in? Was it friends of yours? Was it this, you know, I'll go because you're going thing? Or did it hit you in a deeper way? Like, if you're experiencing this universe, this world of live music on a deeper level, find a way to share that with people. Find a way to get people to unplug and be present and find those things that you can't capture with a phone camera. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. Anywhere you want to send anybody to? I don't know if you have an Instagram you want people to follow or another way to people contact you, or totally okay if not, but
Frostolanche, FROSTOLANCHE. Frost.
Terrific.
Me. Don't be mad if I don't follow you back. Stop my dude.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I keep my it's funny. I keep my followers at a specific number that I follow.
I know some people do that. Yeah.
So like when I find somebody new, somebody has to go. It's funny, but I don't want to be exposed to 1,000 people's information. I don't want to be exposed to that. It's too much, and it takes away from the people that I do keep in touch with and follow. You know.
Yeah. That makes sense. Love it. Well, Frosty, this is such a blast. Thanks again for coming on the show, and I'll have to have you on again in the future.
And this was great. I really enjoyed myself, so I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks again for coming on. All right. Ciao.
Peace.